all of the students who attend this lecture. To open this session, I would like to invite Dr. Ius to give his remark. Pak Ius, the time is yours, Pak Ius. Okay.
Yes. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Dr. Azlin Bahtar. Good afternoon, Bapak Adrian Wijanarko as Head of Department of Management. Good afternoon of Bu Dewi, and good afternoon, representative from Malaysia. You don't have the name, just name the ASUS. I don't know whose name. Okay, but I would like to thanks for you, Dr. Azlin, that you give us the lectures for our students, for undergraduate students especially. So the title of your presentation for today is Post-Pandemic Purchase Scenario, right? Because I'm very grateful for you, because you have been able to give us some knowledge about what happens after the post-pandemic and the purchase, especially on the marketing programs, for example. And I would like this is to all of you, because this is start or the beginning for the implementation of memorandum of understanding for the lecture program. I hope we'll continue with the research also intention program in our two faculty, Fakulty of Economic in Paramadina University and Fakulty of Perniagaan and Pengurusan dan Perniagaan University of Teknologi Mara in Puncak Alam. Is that right, Bu Angelina? Okay. So thank you very much for being with us. And then I hope the students will have some knowledge about what has happened after the post-purchase in the pandemic in the view of in the site or in the Malaysia overview or something like that. It is for learning for us in Indonesian side for as consumer of Indonesian, for example. Okay, thank you very much. Good luck and have a success for the agenda lecture from the Mara. I give you the Bu Dewi. Thank you, Bu Dewi and Pak Adrian. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ius. So now, without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Azlin to give her lecture. As Pak Ius mentioned earlier, Dr. Azlin will provide her lecture about post-pandemic purchase scenario from Malaysia perspective. So to all of you, the participants, please prepare your notes and let's discuss after Dr. Azlin materials was presented. So Dr. Azlin, the time is yours.
Okay, hi, Assalamualaikum. Thank you so much, Ibu Dewi. First and foremost, I would like to say Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to the Dean, Dr. or Professor Dr. Ius Wiyadi. Thank you for having me today, and also afternoon to Pak Adrian, and once again to Ibu Dewi, and also good afternoon to all the participants. I've been told that the participants are actually the undergraduate students. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
And there's also magister students.
All right. Okay. Someone is sharing something. Okay. Can you actually see the slide?
Yeah, that's clear.
Okay. All right. So today I would just like to share. I'm not going to make the sessions like very formal. I hope it would not be something like very formal. Kita boleh, I have a mixed language if you allow me to lah. So a mixture of Bahasa Inggeris as well as Bahasa Malaysia, since I'm from Malaysia and we are Nusantara. So we're basically sharing the same language in a way. All right. So today's title is actually Post-Pandemic Purchase Behavior from specifically from the Malaysian context. But then if I may say, that is basically specifically from the Klang Valley area. So Klang Valley area is actually a combination of the city center of Selangor as well as Kuala Lumpur. All right, so it's basically we're talking about the city center or the main area in Malaysia, and I rather not share throughout Malaysia context. So it's just that the Kuala Lumpur basically. All right, so basically this is the table of content. First and foremost, of course, I would like to introduce myself so that my friends, my colleagues, my beloved students in Paramadina would get to know a little bit idea of who am I. And then of course, I'm going to share a little bit about what is UiTM and also our faculty, because I love UiTM so much. And since that we have this MOU and probably you're going to have this MOE later on, then maybe you should learn a little bit about UiTM as well. And of course, I'll be covering the topic a little bit on the get to know Malaysia and then the current situations after the pandemic, as well as what will be some of the possible suggestions. All right, so basically this is about me. I will start with my academic background. So if you could see, there's 3 pictures down here. So the first picture here is actually my very final day of my undergraduate. My very final day. So I just done my Viva. So my topic of research at that time was online purchase behavior. So that is the last day of my S1 degree. So S1, so I just finished my Viva. So I took a picture because hoping that I will not be returning back to UiTM at that time for my master and all. And then the second, I did my first and foremost here, we did diploma. We have diploma. Di sana tidak ada diploma ya?
We have diploma 3 before S1, before undergraduate.
Okay, so my background a little bit, during my high school, I was a pure science student. So I took biology, chemistry, and physics, but I couldn't see myself towards that direction. So I changed my directions to commerce. So I started my degree in marketing in one of the local university, and then I further in degree in marketing in UiTM. And then next one, the middle picture is actually a picture of me in my second semester of my S2, Master in Business Administration, specialization in marketing. And then the last picture was actually on my hooding ceremony right after I finished or graduated from my PhD, which I also did in marketing, specifically social media marketing. So talking about my administrative post, basically I joined UiTM since 2012. So I got my scholarship actually from UiTM to further both my master's and also my PhD. So it's actually the scholarships was given to me from UiTM as well as KPT, Kementerian Pengajian Tinggi, is actually the Ministry of Education. So I started my career in UiTM at the age of 26, becoming the lecturer. So now about like 12 years has gone by, 11 years has gone by. So right after I finished with my degree, so I started to hold a position just like Pak Adrian. So I was a head of marketing and management department. So I had about 40 lecturers under me and about several programs. But back then I was still in Malacca, was not in Puncak Alam, so in the Malacca state. And then right after that, I changed my post. So I hold a position as a head of postgraduates of UiTM Malacca, whereby I took care of 8 different faculties. So it's about 28 programs and 336 number of lecturers was under me. So then only I moved to Puncak Alam. So I was, in a way, I'm a baby and very fresh in Puncak Alam. So that's why I got to meet the 2 of you who came over last year in November. So I went to Puncak Alam last year, somewhere in March. So I was still a baby up until today, only 1 year in Puncak Alam. All right. So basically, when we talk about my research interests, and of course, it's marketing, specifically in consumer marketing, not so much on B2B business marketing. I'm focusing more on consumer marketing, consumer behavior, as well as digital marketing. And then when we talk about digital marketing, currently, my area of interest, that would be social media marketing, because that will be the easiest one to look at the behavior of the consumers. And later on started to shift more on digital wallet, something that relatable with the digital wallet, payment, e-banking, virtual banking, cash, and all.
Intelligence becomes
All right. Okay. So basically that is my research area interest. So any of you who are into that particular area can like call me up. Okay, so now we're talking about UiTM and also the Faculty of Business. So basically on the left-hand side, you can see this is what UiTM is about. So it started from the, sorry, typo over there. It's actually 1956. So it started as the RIDA, Rural and Industrial Development Authority, in which the main and purpose of functions of UiTM is basically to develop the rural area. So that's why you can start to see that all the UiTMs are located dalam hutan. You pergi ke mana-mana negeri, all UiTM are mostly in dalam hutan. And in fact, Shah Alam previously are also dalam hutan, but then that is the purpose of UiTM. We built UiTM in dalam hutan and slowly we developed the area to become a very well-developed area. So that's how we help the Bumi Putra's economy. Bumi Putra's here mean Melayu and Bumi Putra lah. Melayu. Basically, kita cuba bantu ekonomi Melayu di Malaysia. All right, so RIDA was between 1956 to 65, and then we started to have this Mara College. So we changed from RIDA to Mara. So Mara is actually Majlis Amanah Rakyat, which again is specifically to help the Bumi Putras and Melayu. And then in 1967, so we started to have this ITM, Institute Teknologi Mara. So we enhanced the colleges, we enhanced the facilities. So we started to offer more and more programs. So not only diploma program, and we started to offer all these degree programs. And then in year 2000, or should I say in 1999, or specifically 26th of August 1999, I was only 14 at that time. So we got the full title of university. So University Teknologi Mara. So it's new in a way. So why we call ourselves a University Teknologi Mara instead of UTM? Because here in Malaysia, we already have UTM. So UTM here in Malaysia is University Teknologi Malaysia. So University Teknologi Malaysia is basically one type of universities that is specializations in engineering. All right, so in a way, if you look on the right-hand side, basically the ranking, the number of students we have, the number of alumni that we have throughout the years. And at the moment, we have about 34 campuses all throughout Malaysia. We have 14 states, and basically all states we have UiTM. Like I said, our job and our main business is to develop the rural area and to help the economic in all this rural area. So we have about 34 campuses, and most of the campuses do have business faculty. So business faculty, Faculty of Business and Management is not only located in UiTM Puncak Alam, but it's also located scattered around all over Malaysia, in which different campuses would have its own team. So for example, in Melaka, it focuses on entrepreneurship. For Terengganu, it's focusing more on tourism industry. So basically, each area have its own specialization. Okay, so basically these are the top management of UiTM, Faculty Business and Management. So this is our dean. I'm pretty sure Ibu Dewi and also Pak Adrian have seen their pictures, right, when you visited us. So these are the top management. It's just that the second person here, Dr. Mastura, is a new one lah. So she's a newbie, which means that she's just being appointed 1st of May 2024, recently appointed. So the previous one, the previous Timbalan Dekan was Dr. Zarina Denan. So she's about to retire. So we have newly appointed TDA. We call it Timbalan Dekan Academic. So this is our Timbalan Dekan Pelajar, which means that he's taking care of the well-being of the students. And the guy here, Deputy Dean of Research Innovations, is the one who's being taking care of all the research. The one yang akan kejar kita kalau research tak siap. The one who's going to be grant us with the grants and all, and just to make sure that we accomplish all the papers that we're supposed to be accomplished. And the next one is basically, in a way, this is my immediate boss. My immediate superior, Dr. Faradila. So she is the one doing all the linkages, all the MOUs, MOA. So all those kinds of things are actually under her authority. So this is the map of Malaysia. So as you can see, this is the states in Malaysia and where all our faculties are located at. So mungkin boleh jalan-jalan di negeri-negeri lain juga kalau mahukan ilmu yang berbeza, pandangan yang berbeza, opinion yang berbeza. So we do have all these other specializations. For example, in Johor campus, we are focusing on transport, supply chain, transport, all that in Johor. Okay, moving on. So now let's start with our sharing session for today. All right. So before we can continue, let me just like briefly explain to you, like get to know Malaysia for a bit. This is some sort of like the latest information about Malaysia from the perspective of population. When we talk about marketing, then we need to develop a marketing plan. And then to develop the marketing plan, then of course, at the end of the day, we want to satisfy the customers' needs, wants, and demands. So in order to do that, and of course, we need to look at the population. Right? Am I right? So if I'm not mistaken, both Ibu Dewi and Pak Adrian are marketing lecturers, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. So then I'm sure we do know that in order to develop a marketing plan, and first and foremost, we need to do all these segmentations, which covers the 4 broad factors, demographic, economics, psychographics, as well as, what's the other one? Geography. Okay. All right, so basically get to know Malaysia. The current population as of 1st June 2024, the current population is about 35 million, or should I say it's about 34.6 million. So the number of populations has like growing tremendously. But if I have to be honest, I would say from the 34 million of Malaysian populations, not everyone is Malaysian. So according to another statistics, it's about like 30 million people are Malaysian, but the rest are actually not. So who are these people? So these people are actually those who pindah ke Malaysia. Okay, so it also includes all those workers for tenaga buruh as well as all those expatriates. And those were just people who traveled to Malaysia and somehow refused to return back. So we have all these Americans, we have all these Mexicans people who traveled to Malaysia actually for the sake of holiday, but later on they found Malaysia, they fell in love with Malaysia and decided to stay. Not only them, but we have a lot of Hong Kong people who are moving to Malaysia, especially these people are staying in Pulau Pinang, in Penang. If you have been to Penang, you can start to see that Penang is slightly look like Singapore as well as Hong Kong. So that's why all these Hong Kong peoples are very much into Penang Island. All right, so from this 34.6 million, only about 3.3% are unemployed. The reasons why they are unemployed, most of them are basically due to accident kekal, cacat kekal, because of the accident and patah kaki, patah tangan, and also due to that is one of the reasons. And another reasons would be just couldn't find the perfect job. I'm not so sure what they're looking for, but it's basically couldn't find the perfect job, probably just doesn't match. And most of them, sadly to say, most of them who are unemployed are actually those who are fresh graduate, partially probably have the intentions of becoming influencers, or partially because they are very, how do I say cerewet in English, or in Bahasa Indonesia, like very choosy in choosing their work because doesn't really
Picky,
fit.
yeah. Kind of
Picky, yeah, they are like very choosy and picky. Yes, yes, yes. So most of those are unemployed are basically those who are fresh graduates. Regardless of whatever backgrounds of studies, it could be engineering, it could be business, it could be accountancy, but basically most of those who are unemployed are who just recently graduate. So here's are the Malaysians total populations breakdown according to the age group. So the first 3 groups of people up there, so it's the age coming from 0 to 17 years old. So here in Malaysia, these people are actually babies, students, sampai ke high school students. So here in Malaysia, high school students are until at the age of 17. So even though these people do not have any purchasing power, but these people are actually the customers in the making. So if you are marketers, you still need to look at the breakdown of the percentage. By looking at this, that we know that most of the young people are coming from the age between 5 to 12. So if you're a marketer, then you should get ready in 10 years to come. These people definitely going to have the purchasing power. So right from the very beginning, you need to look at their background. So these people are aged from between 5 to 12 years old. So we really need to identify where they are located at and who are their parents, how would be their punya family purchase income, disposable incomes, discretionary income and all, so that in 5 to 10 years later that we will know how to serve them. So that's why we call them as customers in the making. So although, like I said, although they do not have the purchasing power, but yet again, they will become our customers. All right, so moving on, so the next type of groups would be people who are from 18 years old to 54 years old. All right. So from 18 years old to 54 years old, these people actually here in Malaysia, people who have the purchasing power. So 18 years old is being defined as someone who's already started their diploma here in Malaysia. So usually when the students already started their diploma, they already have all this funded by the family in terms of the scholar. It could be scholarship or it could be from the farmer. Kita panggil scholarship farmer. What is it farmer? Farmer is father and mother. So scholarship. So it means that they are self-funded. They're not being funded by any institutional. So we call it, oh, you farmer, I punya scholarship. So it's father and mother. So that's why they already have a purchasing power. And then most of the students or most of the people who are aged from 25 to 34 years old who just recently graduated and just recently started working and also started to have build their own family, getting married and start to have first kid or second kids and all. So this type of customers also need to be understood because their purchasing power has changed. Like right after they have graduated, usually they will splurge in a way because they started to have their own income. But then later on, after they got married, then the patterns of purchasing will be started to be slightly different because they have their priorities have changed. Probably before they got married, they spend on themselves, and then right after they get married, that they need to allocate some money for insurance, for other more important commitments. And then right after that, 35 from 44 years old, we have about 16%. So these are basically the Gen Y. So usually these people are already stable because dah ada pergerakan gaji, means an increment every year in terms of their punya payment, check, gaji compensations and all. So, and the kids are started to grow up a little bit, whereby they usually have extra disposable income, or what we call is a discretionary income. So usually these are the type of people we should be targeting on whenever we want to sell something that a little bit expensive or luxurious. And then moving on to the age 45 to 54, so it's about 16.6%. So basically these are the Gen X here in Malaysia. So by looking at this, usually Gen X are already very stable. All the kids have grown up, so they usually have extra money to purchase. But also need to understand Gen X, they are not really into social media. So now we really need to understand how can we go approach them to make sure that they notice the existence of our brands and product. And so how can we like kind of like influence them to make transactions with us? And then moving on to the age 8.8%, that would be between 54 to 64 years old, 55 to 64 years old. This type of people, when we're talking about Malaysian, located in Kuala Lumpur and Selangor, specifically in Klang Valley, these people are the ones who are very, 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 very rich in a way, especially if their background is government servant. Because during at this time, most of them, we retire at the age of, it depends based on what they sign masa dia mula-mula kerja. So some of them will retire at 55, some will be at 58, some will be at 60. So usually upon the retirement, they will be receiving a lump sum of money, a gratuity we call it. And then most of them will be receiving, like pension every month. So that's why here in Kuala Lumpur, here in Malaysia, we always assume that this group of people are very rich because they don't really have any more commitment, all paid off. Kereta sudah dibayar, rumah sudah habis dibayar, and anak-anak sudah besar, and anak-anak give them monthly allowances some more, and then all their gaji, all their pensions is actually being kept to themselves. So these are the percentage or these kinds of group of people that we call in bahasa Melayu lubuk emas. Is that our gold mine? Lubuk emas. So if you could see here in Malaysia, whenever we have all these mesin ogawa, like all this massaging chair, all these like very high expensive items that we do know that it's not a necessity and all. But here in Malaysia, we're going to create all those kinds of things, and we're always going to target all these warga emas, or we call this a senior citizen. So it is very normal if, like say, I walk in the shopping mall with my parents, nobody would approach me, because they know that young generation or young people, in a way, I still consider myself as young. So young people like me, they know that we don't really have the extra money to buy all this unnecessary item like massage chair. But they will definitely approach my mother, who will be smiling and just purchase it, even though she knows that she doesn't need it. Later she will think where to put in the house, and later she will think, but in a way that, because she knows that she doesn't have any commitment, so, and she has all this extra money, so she wouldn't mind to purchase it. So this is what we call as lubuk mas. All right. And then we have this percentage above 65 years old. So this is the part where if, let's say, in Malaysia, you try to sell them in any medicine, any supplement, confirm laku. Confirm orang beli. All right. So basically, these are the populations of Malaysia according to the age. And as a marketers, we really need to understand the breakdown because this will define their purchasing power. All right. So basically, if you look at the birth rate, it has declined 1.2% in 2022, and then now it's 1.5% decline by 1.7 in 2024. So it's basically the birth rate is reducing. So we do need to expect that the group of babies and toddlers later on will be reduced from 7.4% to 6 point something% in future. So which means that as a marketers, you really need to be ready because the number of your potential of customers will be reduced. So you really need to think ahead on how are you going to sell your product. All right. So this is the Malaysian economics. So as we all know that 2022, the whole globe was hit by the pandemic. So Malaysia is not the kecuali lah. So we've been badly affected because all the import exports has to be stopped. Nobody's go in, nobody's goes out. Most of the industries has to be shut down, especially the traveling, the tourism, the kilang has to shut down unless you are selling food that you are making a lot of money. Unless you bawa Grab, bungkus or Gojek or whatever, then you are making a lot of money because people cannot go anywhere. So we need to call, we need to order all the foods via our mobile applications. So that kinds of business definitely going to make money. But anyway, as much as we saw a drop about 5.6 in 2022 in Malaysia, but once we have opened up our border and we allow people to do their work and all again, so it jumped up by 8.7% in 2022. So it's actually larger than before. We dropped by 5.6, but now we jump back 8.7. It's actually an additional of 3.1%. Okay, so basically this is like very good and very promising to Malaysia. And then as of May 2024, the growth looked even more promising because last year when we closed our fourth quarter in 2024, the economic growth was 2.9, but our very first quarter of 2024, it became 4.2, an increase of 4.2. So it's basically between September 2023 to March 2024, we can see a very good economic booming. So it shows that Malaysia is doing so good, despite that we can see the currency is not doing so well. But however, when it comes to the Malaysian growth, economic growth is actually doing so well. So by that, we do expect that by end of this year, we expect to grow even larger portion. So we hope that at least by 5% more by end of this year, so that we can start being a little bit more comfortable in 2025. All right. So anyway, basically these are the contributors of Malaysian economics. So we have a lot of contributor, but the three main contributions made to our Malaysian economics is basically service, agriculture, and also manufacturing. So manufacturing here, we have a lot of kilang, lots of manufacturers here located in Malaysia. And in fact, inshallah as well, we started to see a lot of kilang is being developed. And most of the manufacturing process here in Malaysia are makanan, is basically food, and some of the electronics and electrical items, and not forgetting the car manufacturing. And when we talk about agriculture, then of course, Malaysia is the hub for all those palm oil. We are the ones, main contributor and distributor of oil palm across the globe. And of course, our main contributor for economic growth is service. So when we talk about service, it covers a lot of things. It covers food and beverages. We cover tourism industry and holiday industry, as well as we cover all this hospital and also hotel industries. So hospital is kind of like one of the new approach that Malaysia is trying to do, where we call it in a way hospital tourism, where those who are actually coming to Malaysia who needs to stay at the hospital tak rasa macam sakit sangat lah. So we try to develop and decorate our hospitals to look more alike like a hotel. So it's going to give us such a good ambient. So one of the latest tourism hospital in Malaysia is in Damansara, in Kuala Lumpur in Damansara. So we call it the KPJ Damansara 2. So KPJ is actually a company belongs to our Sultan Johor. So KPJ stands for Kumpulan Perusahaan Johor. So KPJ. So it belongs to our Sultan, Johor Sultan. So, okay, so basically the most contributor for our economics is service. And by looking at this economics perspective and how it has grown over months and years from the pandemic, we can conclude that again, the purchasing power in Malaysia has increased. It's just that we don't really know what they buy with their money, but it's basically most people can actually conduct transactions. And by looking at the previous slide just now, only 3.3% are unemployed, which means that most of the people are actually very comfortable and can and able to conduct transactions, whether it's offline or it is online. All right, so far, do you have any question, people? Ibu Dewi, ada apa-apa soalan? Mau tanya ke apa ke?
Oke, mungkin untuk teman-teman dulu, ada yang mau ditanyakan dulu? Tadi menariknya adalah ada jasa ya, service usaha jasa itu menjadi the biggest contributor
Yes.
in Malaysia's economic, and tadi ada hospital tourism, health tourism, because many Indonesian people go to Malaysia for their therapy or kind of health curing activity, something. And I think that this is the best. I think ya itu salah satu potensi besar, big potential bisnis ya.
Yes, I've been to Johor and we spoke to this KPJ and all. So one of the hospitals in Johor Bahru is located in Batu Pahat. So and I asked them in Batu Pahat is basically in Johor, and Batu Pahat is like a very small district area. But yet again, Batu Pahat has 3 or almost 4 different hospitals. So when I asked why in such a very small place and away from people, and then the populations of Batu Pahat itself is very small, and most of local people in Batu Pahat have moved outside, not living in Batu Pahat. So why does Batu Pahat have so many hospitals? So one of the hospitals is actually again KPJ. So KPJ Batu Pahat mentioned that our target is not to serve the local people, but our target is actually to serve the Indonesian people. So I asked, how do they get there? So they said that most of them are actually will take the ferry or boat from Batam to one of the ferry locations. We have like 2 jetties in Johor. One is Tanjung Leman and another one is located near Batu Pahat. So basically these people are traveling from all parts of Indonesia and will go to Batam and take the ferry to Batu Pahat to get the treatments over there. So because I asked then why don't go to Singapore? I think Singapore is closer. And then because of the currency and all, and probably partially because of the halal food and all.
Yeah.
So they prefer to go to Batu Pahat. So even though Batu Pahat is a very small area, yet again they can sustain their business. So I was surprised at that time. So that's why I asked, why do you open your hospital in Batu Pahat of all places? And why Batu Pahat? And then so it's basically the answer is because of the hospital tourism. And they are really serving the Indonesians parts in Batu Pahat. And meanwhile, in Pulau Pinang, in Penang, we also have a hospital for this particular service. But most of them are actually coming from China and Hong Kong. Like I said, Penang is looks almost similar and alike like Singapore and Hong Kong. So that's why all these China people from mainland and Hong Kong and Taiwan will travel to Penang to get themselves treated. And Penang Island is also a very small island, but have a lot of hospitals. Now I know why lah, because people are actually traveling to Penang to get treatments and all.
Okay. Maybe I would like to ask a question. After pandemic in Indonesia, many new business are rising. Something that may be possible before pandemic, and it becomes a viral business, such as what is that, rental, kind of penyewaan handphone, atau there's a lot of new business rising after pandemic. Maybe you can share in Malaysia's perspective, is there any new trend in business after pandemic.
Okay, very interesting. That is something that I'm
Mhm.
going to cover later on in my next slide.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm going to
Okay.
give you
Okay
some a
then.
little bit brief. Here in
Okay.
Malaysia, we are very into experiencing something.
Mhm.
So, if I could hear you correctly just now, the types of business in Indonesia that is booming after the pandemic was something
Mhm.
about handphone, pinjam handphone, sewa handphone,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But here
Mhm.
Malaysia is something else. But
Mhm.
it is actually I think it's not only a trend in Malaysia because something about what is so funny. At least this is from my own personal point of view.
Mhm.
What is funny about Malaysian people is we live to adapt certain culture. So we, in a way, I always consider ourselves like a sponge. Whatever we saw out there, it is something that we would love to replicate. So that is what actually happening here in Malaysia.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Okay, before I can go further, so let's cover this part a little bit. So, so according to a research that was done by this opportunities.com, most of the customers here in Malaysia who constantly and continuously to conduct the transactions are coming from the age of 25 to 39 years old, like I said just now. And these people are actually coming, those who made income between 4,500 to 7,000. So here in Malaysia, actually, we have 3 tiers of social classes. So in the US, they have 7 tiers. Here in Malaysia, we only divided the people in 3 tiers, 3 types of groups. So we call them B40, M40, and T20. So 40, 40, 20, it's accumulate to 100%. So what is B40? So B40 are actually those who earn low income. So low income, it's about 5,000 and below. So that is what we call as low income. And then the middle income is about between 5,000 to 13,000 or 14,000. So that is the middle income. And the T20 is what we call as the rich people. So who are making about 15,000 and above. So these are the group of people in Malaysia. And looking at this slide, most people who are making consumptions and love to purchase that will be coming from high range of B40 and lower range of M40. So these people love to make the transactions, but it's just that whatever purchases that they have made, they don't really buy luxurious item. So they usually buy common item. So most of the expenses are being done on online basis. Okay, so and then focusing more on this, in general, this is also funny to me. I never knew this. I thought it's something else. But here in Malaysia, most Malaysians are actually using digital payment to make their transactions rather than bank applications and also e-wallet. I thought most Malaysian would use e-wallet or bank application. So bank applications is actually covers the QR code. Bank applications is also cover the online transaction. Bank transactions is also like the debit card and also the credit card. And the e-wallet is something like GrabPay, ShopeePay, and Touch and Go e-wallet. So those are actually the e-wallet type. And the digital payments are actually anything that you use a device, only your device. So for example, like you use your handphone, you pakai Google Pay or Apple Pay. So you wish that you just need your handphone without opening any applications or without opening any touch and go, whatever, without those kinds of things. Which I myself was very surprised when I found out this. I thought most Malaysians will conduct the transactions using bank applications, but apparently they are not. And according to a research, it was said that it's about 62% of Malaysians are actually making payment using digital payment, and most of them actually use Apple Pay, which it shows that most Malaysians are actually using Apple iPhone instead of other brands. So that is some the stories behind it lah kan. So we can find out that most Malaysians are actually using iPhone. Kaya rupanya orang Malaysia. Alright. So anyway, and then the top purchases products here in Malaysia are travel, consumer electronic, fashion, food, and personal care. So these are the 4 top items that consumed and purchased by Malaysians. So if you look at the items that is actually reflected back, why only people who are from the age of 25 to 39 years old conduct the most transactions and purchases. Because travel, it doesn't say whether it has to go abroad or local, but it's actually within Malaysia. It could also go within Malaysia, and Malaysian loves holiday. And and according to the world record, Malaysia has the highest number of public holiday.
Oh yeah. Is it
Yes.
Indonesia? I thought Indonesia is the most.
We have like we have like so multiracial people, right? So
Yeah.
terlalu banyak bangsa, terlalu banyak agama. So every time ada celebrations of certain religion, we cuti.
Ah,
So for
okay.
example, like Muslim itself, we already have Hari Raya Haji, Hari Raya Aidilfitri, and then we have this Awal Muharram, Awal Ramadan, Nuzul Quran, and then Maulud Nabi. So here already have about 6 days, and 6 days, some of it like for 2 days. So altogether for Melayu, for Islam only already 10 days. And then
Wow.
for the Chinese, we have Chinese New Year, we have Wesak, and then we have Taipusam. So that's another about 4-5 days more. And then for the Indians, and then we have about 2-3 days more. And then for those in Sabah, Sarawak, oh my God, that's a lot of holidays. So here in total Malaysia, we have like so many holidays. And during the holidays, those who are from Kuala Lumpur usually will go out from Kuala Lumpur. So they will travel to Penang, to Langkawi, to Sabah, Sarawak, to Borneo, to Johor and all, especially will be in Malacca. So during long weekend, please do not go to Malacca. You'll be stuck in Malacca. Malacca is very small state, and on one day it could be like more than 100,000 cars go in Malacca. So it's very congested in Malacca. So that's why travel is number one. Okay, so and then travel falls under services, the one that we have covered just now under service. So if you have the idea, if I'm like filthy rich or anyone's like rich, probably you can have your own homestay in Malacca. You don't worry, you get all your money back real soon because of the rental and all. On every weekend, orang akan sewa confirm. All right. So the next product is consumer electronics. So it covers all those washing machines, refrigerators and all. So like I said, 25 to 39 years old, usually people who just recently graduated, started their family, started to have their own house, get out from the parents' house and start to rental the house. So they need all these appliances. And then fashion and food, fashion, and of course, because we just finished with schoolings and also definitely you want to look good. You start with your working, so you want to look good and all, buy new clothes and all. And then food is a fundamental in life. So bear in mind about the food later. This is the food I want to talk about. Okay, and of course the personal care lah, your shampoo and all. So when we talk about food is one of the industry that is booming in Malaysia. Other than holiday, then food is another one. The one you asked me just now, what is the business right after the pandemic that is actually booming in Malaysia? The answer is food.
Okay.
Food. Almost every day, we have a new outlet. And all this outlet, it has to be, we call it a hipster. I'm not so sure if in Indonesia what they call, but here we call hipster, all this kedai kopi, all these coffee outlets that looks like very, very American style, very, very kawaii style, very Japanese style, very Korean style, very cute, very nice, well, nicely decorated. Yes, food. And then they will start to come up with all these new type of food. Before this, we have this only donut, and tiba-tiba ada bomboloni, and then we have this croissant, and tiba now we have like cromboloni. So it's a croissant mixed with cromboloni. Like with all these new types of food, they have like invented or innovated. So food is actually one of the booming business here in Malaysia, and you can start to see that a lot of outlets here in Malaysia are full. And in fact, I myself, I do food hunting almost every weekend. Previously, almost every day. Then I started to gain weight, so I need to shut it down a little bit. So I do food hunting on every weekend around Kuala Lumpur. I try to try every outlet. So of course, I know the menus is almost similar and the same, but yet again, I still want to try. So I will go to every food and outlet, and believe me, all outlets are full. And most of the customers are actually coming from my age and below, which means that the Generation Zs and late Generation Y. So these people are the contributors. Like I said, again, coming from this to age 25 to 39 years old, would love to try out food. And speaking of that, although it's not covered in my slides, but speaking of that, because of this food and a lot of outlets and a lot of online businesses that are selling food, in fact, you can find frozen croissant, frozen, all those kinds of things are also available on Shopee. You can just like easily buy them and be delivered to you on the very same day. Okay, so when it comes about food, here in Malaysia, actually, the number of obesity has increased. Sadly, and we are not very proud of it, but in a way, we try to rasa, okay, tak salah because we contribute to the economy. But sadly, here in Malaysia, the number of considered as high weight and obesity is 52%. More than half of Malaysians are considered as overweight currently. And the increased number of overweight started right after the pandemic. Before that, majority are normal. It was less than 40%. But after the pandemic, it was more than 50%. To be specific, is 52% of Malaysians are obese or overweight because of the food, because Malaysians really love food. We love to innovate food. We love to buy food. And somehow like we feel like it's a mandatory for us to support the local business. Okay, somehow it's a mandatory. I don't know why, but somehow we just love to support Malaysian food, and especially if you know that those who are selling is actually someone that we know from our kampung ke apa ke kan, macam, oh, we need to buy. So because this is from our kampung, so we need to buy. We need to buy, not that we have to buy. We need to buy. You know, that it must. If you don't buy, you berdosa. So you have to buy. All right. So moving on. So basically, this is some of the things I want to share also. Right after the pandemic, we talk about the physical retail outlet. So it has been said that during the pandemic, lots of people has been thought and being molded and shaped to conduct all the transactions on online basis, which it is very true because we can start to see that a lot of people are start to embark on digital platform to sell their products on digital platforms and all. But here in Malaysia, especially in Kuala Lumpur and Selangor, shopping malls are still considered as relevant, very relevant. And to just to add some knowledge to you, in Kuala Lumpur and a little bit of Selangor side, we have about 117 shopping malls. And most of the shopping malls are well equipped and well visited by people, very congested, susah nak dapat parking. Surprisingly, despite people say that we don't have money, we do not need another shopping mall, but yet again, the moment another new shopping mall is open, more and more people go to the shopping mall. So I would say this is just another joke. I would say that the reason why we go to shopping mall because we just want to enjoy the free air conditioner. Panas. Malaysia panas. So we go to shopping mall right, to enjoy the free air conditioner. So at least this is the jokes I made to my husband lah, because kadang-kadang cakap, "Bi, jom kita pergi shopping mall, panas lah duduk rumah." If I switch on my air conditioner, that I need to pay for the electricity bills, right? So we go to shopping mall. So it's actually a joke, but probably, I don't know, I haven't done any research on that, but could be one of the reasons. All right. So like I said, pandemic has molded Malaysian to be more active on social platforms, but these Malaysian people still visit the shopping malls. And a recent survey showed that more than 75% people still prefer to visit the mall for experiential shopping. Okay, because of the ambience, probably the aircon as I mentioned just now, and I'm meeting out with the friends for the food and beverages. This is how we get so obese now. And then of course for the leisure and also the entertainment. And last but not least, only making the purchases, which is very correct, because every time I go to the shopping mall, I could not see, or I hardly see people carrying out shopping items. Bags full with donuts, cups of drinks, those iced coffee, those frappuccino and ice blend and all, yes, in their hands. But shopping items, hardly I've seen it in Malaysian hands here in Malaysia lah. Okay, so, but by saying all this is because Malaysia, they love to have, to experience things. So that's why they go to shopping malls. So they still conduct the transactions on online basis, but I would say most of them go to the shopping mall to make the price comparison. Because for example, like JD.com is an outlet that sells shoes and all. So we can go to the actual outlet and put it on and try it on, and then we just buy the items from the online, because we just want to check if it's fit, if it's comfortable or not, and then we just go to online and conduct the transactions over the online platform because it's much cheaper. So that's why most of the people still go to the shopping mall to do some price checking or price comparison, or probably just to have it on themselves, just to check whether they can fit nicely or not. But then the transactions will be done on digital platforms. So that's why here in Malaysia, both malls is highly visited by people and online platforms is also highly visited by people because Malaysian people would use both to conduct their transactions as well as to gain some experiences. Okay, and then some of the newly opened shopping malls in Malaysia after the pandemic, that would be Pavilion Bukit Jalil, Pavilion Bukit Damansara, and also TRX Mall. So if you've been to Malaysia, then I'm sure you know we have this Pavilion Bukit Bintang. So all these malls are actually for the high-end consumers, basically from the T20 customers, people, target market, but of course, they welcome all these B40 and M40 to go to visit their malls. All right. So, however, like I said, although we have these 170 malls, and although I said that it's very congested, but not all shopping malls are doing so well. And later I will tell you why. Okay. So now, can you guess why not all shopping malls receive high amount of visitors? Even though I said that a lot of people are still going to the shopping mall, but not all shopping malls are doing well.
Okay, anyone can ada yang tahu kenapa?
Ada yang tahu?
Okay.
So the answers are actually here, you know, somewhere
Mhm.
here, somewhere here, somewhere here.
Probably they prefer to have an outdoor activities.
Sorry, they don't have what?
They prefer to have an outdoor activities.
Okay, what's
Uh-huh.
next? Good. You
Any
are alert.
any okay, any other teman-teman ada yang punya kenapa? Because we are facing similar situation. Some of our shopping center are decreasing in terms of the visitor because people are prefer to have outdoor activities at park or at outdoor activities, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Good answer. Very good answer indeed. Okay. All right. So basically, these are some of the main reasons. Number one is online platform. So like I said, most of the customers would go to online platforms whenever they want to conduct the purchases. And it's basically if the customers want to conduct the online purchases, they need to experience first the item. Here, experience. So like I said just now, they really need to try the items first. They wouldn't mind to, because in marketing, human context, we never want to purchase something unless all our five senses are fully utilized. We want to see the products with our own eyes. We want to use our hands to feel the material. We want to feel the items on our legs or foot or whatever. And when it comes about food, and we really want to taste it first before we can actually continue to purchase the products and all. So basically some of the malls, some of the outlets, or some of the kedai, toko, why they are not making so well is because they do not connected it with their online platform. So in the present days, in order for you to be so well, even though you are one big tycoon before the pandemic, but right after the pandemic, you still need to have your online social media platform, at least social media platform. You need to have an online platform so that you can connect your customers from the physical outlets and also the online outlets. So that's why some of the reasons why some of the malls here in Kuala Lumpur, they are not doing very well is because they don't really take care of their online platform. Probably they do have a website, but it's not being updated. And probably they are not very engaging with the customers, and probably they're not doing so well and handling it very well. And most probably they don't really have a social media account. So social media accounts in Malaysia is very important. It's kind of like a fundamental. If you have a business, social media accounts is very important. Probably you're not going to sell or conduct any transactions on social media accounts, but yet again, it's highly needed so that people can actually seize the product. So most of shopping malls that not receiving high number of customers here in Malaysia because they don't really focusing on the social media or ataupun on the online platform. They completely possibly not paying attention or ignore it or neglect it, not really updated it. All right, so the second reasons why is because of the experiences. Like I said here, Malaysians love to have some experiences, which means your shopping mall should not only have outlets that allowing people to go there and buy whatever they want or whatever they need, but the mall should equipped with something of some sort of a leisure and entertainment so that the customers could, you know, like explore something and gain some experiences. Because like I said, consumption and purchases can be done on online platforms. So they don't really need a shopping mall to do all those kinds of things. But one way or another, they will definitely go to buy. But it's basically the reason why they go out from the house and be in a shopping malls is because to gain some experiences. Experiences with the food, experiences with the leisure, with the entertainment, to meet up with the friends and all, and then to enjoy the nice and beautiful decorated shopping malls and all. So that is what they need. And speaking of that, because of the experiences, they need those experiences because they want to capture it and because they want to put it on their social media account. So if let's say your shopping mall is boring, your shopping malls only have things to buy but not providing them with experiences, so they do not have anything to share. So when they don't have anything to share, we're going to find you very boring. It's just like, you know, in human context, you and your friends, if your friends have nothing to tell you, you diam, dia diam, dan of course kita pun tak nak cakap dengan dia kan. So sama juga the relationship we have with the shopping malls. If the shopping malls is viewed as boring, we don't have any reasons to go there. All right. So next one is, of course, the purchase and also interest and also the priority. Right after the pandemic, most of the customers, they don't really focusing purchasing high-end items or shopping items. They're more focusing on the priority. So the priority here in Malaysian context is actually spending time at the moment after the pandemic, is spending time. So that's why, again, it goes back to the experiences and all those excitements and entertainment is highly needed. So that is why the food and beverages, restaurants and cafes are very booming right now, because it creates a place and atmosphere where people can meet up and get together, because during the pandemic, they cannot do that. So now, as much as we thought that our generation Z, they don't really like to mingle, actually they do. The generation Z, they really go out there and actually meet their friends and colleagues or pals to do whatever they want to do. So their priority has changed. It's not like who we were before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, probably items will make us fulfilled. Items will satisfy us. But right after the pandemic here in Malaysia, it's all about get together. So that is also one of the reasons why traveling in Malaysia is booming up. So because we really want to get back, we want to get together, because in Malaysia, it's about 1.5 years of the lockdown and people don't really get to see each other. So right after the pandemic, everybody will find reasons why want to go out. And in fact, here in Malaysia, previously, right before the pandemic, Hari Raya, the Raya celebration in the Shawwal months, we only celebrate up until 2 weeks, which another country will be like a week or a day or two, you know, to celebrate Hari Raya. But before the pandemic, it was 2 weeks. But here in Malaysia, kita punya Raya sampai Raya Haji.
Oh.
We still have this open house right now, even though it's already Zulkaidah or Zulhijjah, we still have that. Right after the pandemic, we always find means and ways to have all this yamcha. Yamcha is Chinese word, yamcha is makan-makan. So we always find means and ways to have this yamcha, get together with people. Although the Raya celebrations has ended, but then we still have this open house the other day when we call it Raya celebration. I was like, Raya is over. And then my friend said, we don't care. Raya is still on. So we still have this Raya food. Right after the pandemic, it started to change. 2022, 23, and 24, it's still going on. We still have this big yamcha because our priority has changed. We really want to get together. We really want to, you know, jaga our friends and our family. We really want to be close with one another. That's why our priority has changed. And because of that, some of the malls that don't really provide a place where we can get together, they will not be doing so well. But if, let's say, a mall that have all these kinds of things, they can really attract people to go there. All right, so now speaking about the digital platform a little bit, here in Malaysia is about 44.5 million cellular mobile connections as of January 2024. So we have about 34 million people, but then the connections is about 44 million. So I assume one person has more than one phone numbers. All right. So especially probably the lecturers lah, one for students, one for family, one for whatever lah. I used to have that, and then I forgot about the other line, and then people cannot find me. So I ended up with one phone number. So I redha lah with the one phone number is been spreaded out. So fine lah. Okay. And then as of January 2024, we have about 33.5 million internet users. So that make up a very good contributions to the digital purchases, and the penetrations stood at about 97.4% the internet penetrations. And then Malaysia was home to 28.68 million people of social media users. So this is a very high number of social media users. So the common platform here in Malaysia, that would be Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and then YouTube. And then e-commerce in Malaysia grew up by 15% in 2023 and expected to grow even more lah by end of 2024. And then it's basically here in Malaysia why the internets are getting better ataupun the growing reasons for all these being active on social media platforms and digital platforms is because better internet connection. It has been enhanced and getting better and better, and then better online platform, and then also better overall service. So better internet connection because we are moving to the 5G right now. So we are trying to make sure that everywhere is connected. Although that in a way that we are still babies in this particular areas, also some areas still not get a good connection. But however, I'm pretty sure the responsible institutions are getting it fixed and making sure that everyone is connected. And then better online platform, because here in Malaysia, most digital platform providers or those companies who are embarking on the digital platform, they really understand in the context of convenience to the customer. So convenience to the customer, not only that it's convenient for the customer to go to online platform to conduct the transactions, but convenient, it means that the platform should not be cluttered. So they now know they understand the concepts of blueprint and also the wireframe. So they arrange the platform in a way that is very soothing the eyes. And then the last but not least is, of course, the better overall services that is being provided and offered by the sellers, whereby they really understand that everybody is his online platform. So they face a lot of competitions from everyone, and they understand that the context that consumers love to make comparisons and all. So consumers nowadays, they're not only making comparisons in terms of the attributes of the products or the prices of the products, but also they are making comparisons in terms of the overall services that is provided by the company. So in terms of the delivery days, lambat ke, cepat ke, well, whether the parcels are damaged or not, whether the items received are in good conditions or not, whether the sellers, the companies could provide them with extra warranty, guarantee, or return policy, those kinds of things. So that actually falls under the overall services. So one of the reasons why more and more people are conducting online transactions is because of the overall services rather than the product itself. Because when it talks about the product, that we know that most of the product are function the same, because most of it are coming from the same manufacturer that is in China. So semua barang pun rupa sama. So what they're focusing more is basically on the overall services. Lambat, cepat, baik, apa lagi, like very engaging, very interactive. So that kinds of services that most Malaysians are looking at. Because sometimes here in Malaysia, even though the products are sold at a very affordable or very cheap price, but some customers still not going to buy from that particular seller because they don't feel that the sellers are entertaining enough. Could be rude, or could be like very too robot, like very formal when replying the text or whatever. So that is sometimes Malaysian customer will not purchase with that kinds of person. So here in Malaysia, we're really looking at the overall services, not only from the product attributes and also the prices. Okay, all right. So here, now let's move to this part, the 6 biggest digital platforms in Malaysia, where the consumers conducted their online transactions from. I Google for other countries, and most of the countries are basically, they will have social media platforms on the biggest digital platforms. But however, in Malaysia, it is slightly different. By here, we can see that most Malaysians, they hardly conducted their transactions on digital platform. For example, like Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. So as much as we said that most companies are now like do this TikTok live, do this IG live, but here in Malaysia, the reason why they do all those live is basically for the engagement purposes, but not mainly for them to actually conduct the transactions on the social media platform. So basically there's a part and parcels of the stories and reasons why. So one of it is because of the trust issue and also the security issues. So here in Malaysia, we really particular about our security, about our privacy data and all. So most of the adult customers, we don't really want to share our information on social media accounts, or to some people that we don't really trust. Okay, we don't really sure that they can actually secure our informations and all. So basically, that is why one of the reasons why most of the customers hardly conduct their purchases on Instagram or on TikTok, because they are scared of their personal informations, and most of them who are actually conducted transactions or no run their businesses on social media, they don't really register with the government. So it would be difficult for us as a consumers if, let's say, we face a certain difficulties or certain problems with the purchases, then we do not know where to channel or where to lodge the complaints and reports, because nobody is going to take care of us, because we are the one who jump into that lobang lah kan, into that hole. So basically here in Malaysia, most biggest platforms or where people conducted their transactions are on this platform. And of course, it is Shopee. Shopee is one of the famous platform in these days, and it started back, I think it was I forgot which year, but it started because of the 11/11. That was the very first starting point, the 11/11. And then they started to have 11/11, 12/12, 11/3/3. So, but it started with the 11/11. And because of that, 11/11 is kind of like here in Malaysia, I'm not so sure about elsewhere. Here in Malaysia, like say tomorrow is the 11/11. Today, around 10 o'clock, they actually organize a certain concert just to show about this and do a massive promotional events during the concert itself. So that's how they attract more and more people to conduct the transaction. So basically it worked. These things done right after the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken. So this is one of the reasons why Shopee has bloomed. Before Shopee, it was Lazada. Lazada was a highly acceptable here in Malaysia, but then it slowly reduced because Lazada was not very massive in terms of the promotional. That's number one. Number two, Lazada's website at that point of time was very cluttered, very confusing. So, and then Shopee was a little bit more neat, and the whole process and transactions is more smooth as compared to Lazada. And on top of it, because of Shopee's effort in the promotional, because they really combine offline and online and offline promotional activities. And the next one is we have mudah.my. So Mudah is basically a place where the customers can start to purchase their, it's basically Mudah is C2C. Similarly goes to Carousel, is because where the customers actually sell their own items, or you know, like pre-loved item, the second-hand item. So that is Mudah and also Carousel. And Watsons is a it's not a drugstore, but it's a place where you can buy all your shampoos, makeups, you know, all those kinds of personal care. If you could recall back my slides just now, one of the items that is usually purchased by the Malaysian customers are personal care. So this is where they can purchase their items. Most of it will purchase in Watson, because here in Malaysia, we have all these giant so-called these kinds of outlets. We have Watsons, we have Guardians, we have Carings, but Watson is one of the outlets that continuously do price reductions. So that is one of the reasons why most people will purchase on Watsons. And the last one is Zalora. So Zalora is another place where people can actually buy their clothing items. I was hoping to see Shein here, but Shein was not on the list, surprisingly. All right. So now, why do you think that shopping malls and retail outlets are still relevant in Malaysia and especially in the Klang Valley? So basically, this is the answers to it. So remember in my previous slides, I keep on highlighting and bold them in red. The service, the travel, the beverages, the experiences and all. Okay, so basically, this is the reasons why shopping malls are very popular in Kuala Lumpur area because of the tourism and travel, because our main entrance to Malaysia is located in Kuala Lumpur, KLIA 1 and also KLIA 2, and our other international airports would be in Pulau Pinang in Penang. So so basically our main entrance will be in Kuala Lumpur, and therefore Kuala Lumpur needs to offer something to the tourists. So we don't have laut, we don't have beach, we don't have this waterfall, we don't really have flora and fauna. We don't have this hutan-hutan tropicals here in Kuala Lumpur, so we only have this batu-batu building. So the best thing that we could offer is basically tourism and travel industry, where we enhance our tourism services and travel services and hospitality services, which means we have a lot of hotels here in Kuala Lumpur other than shopping malls. So the possible current strategy that should be embarked by all companies and shopping malls here in Malaysia is to have omni-channel, not only multi-channel, but to have omni-channel. So there's a difference between omni-channel and multi-channel. So although it might look similar, the same, whereby multi-channel or multi-channel is one company have their physical outlet and have multiple online platforms, but it is not speaking in a single voice. But omni-channel is basically, we still have the same thing like multi-channel, but the people in charge, the people behind it is well trained, whereby every single people in the company will speak in a single voice. So therefore, despite wherever the customer will go upon whichever platforms, or whether it's physical or online, they will still get the same informations and the same vibe of treatment and engagement. So it's not the same as multi-channel as compared to omni-channel. Omni-channel is more in contact. Everyone in the company is in contact. So everyone in the company speak in a single voice. Everyone in the company knows the objectives, the goals and missions of the company. So therefore, everyone in the company can speak about the same thing, regardless of which platform. But it's not the same for multi-channel. So that's why some here, the business here in Malaysia, they hardly use agents anymore. But if you look back before the pandemic here in Malaysia, whenever we have this one particular product and we want to expand the business, instead of developing our physical retail outlet, most of the company will hire agents and dealers to sell their products. But by having agents and dealers, this is what we call as multi-channel in a way, but having too much agents and dealers, these people are actually competing among themselves. They're not speaking in a single voice. And sometimes when they are competing, some agents or dealers will give different types of promises as compared to the other agents, which when there's a certain conflict, it affects the company's reputations and brand image. So that is why some of the companies in Malaysia, they stop from using agents and dealers. They move their business to Shopee. So that's why you start to see Shopee has become one of the largest or the biggest one consumers go to visit and to conduct the transactions. That is one of the reasons, because of the agents and dealers have this conflict among them. So in a way, it tarnish the brand image and reputation. So we stop having this multi-channel concept. So we move to this type of omni-channel. So we go to company will use social media for engagement only, and then they have their website to conduct the transactions directly. Or if some of the customer, they do not really like website, they will go to Shopee, because Shopee has other advantages because of the coins, because of the price reduction, because of the coupons and all. So that's why some of the companies use these kinds of channels, and they will use this omni-channel because they will control the copyright and also control the treatments given to the customers, something that they cannot do when they have this multi-channel. All right, so this is some of the examples of shopping mall in Malaysia. So this is shopping mall known as Wan Utama. So I start to Google Wan Utama. So these are the links that appear. So when we click Wan Utama, so this would be the layout of the homepage of Wan Utama. So and then Wan Utama is work closely with geo-marketing and have this map so that people will be easier to find where it is located at, and then just link it with your Waze and also your Google Map. Can have I like 2 minutes? All right, sorry, my battery running low. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So so that is the map where One Utama has it on its website. So you can just like click it if you need your Google Map always to do your work to bring you to One Utama. And then as I was saying just now, in order to be a good shopping mall, you not only you have to link it with the online platform like this, like this website, but of course you need to have some excitement and leisure. So under One Utama, you can easily click attraction. So this would be some of the things that is offered in One Utama. So you don't really have to travel elsewhere to enjoy some of the attractions. So some of the attractions are like follow. Okay. So these are some of the entertainments and leisure that is offering in One Utama. If you could see, we have all these hutan-hutan. We do have this flora in One Utama. They created this mini jungle. And then if you want to have all these kinds of social club, then if you love to do some rock climbing, you can go there. And if you want to hit a ball with a bat baseball, then you can go there as well. And then if let's say you want to enjoy some of the surfing laut, which our beach here in Malaysia Barat is not, the wave is not that high. So you can actually go to One Utama to enjoy it. So you don't have to travel to USA to enjoy the California beach and all the wave there over there. You can easily go to One Utama. We have this surfing area. So it's man-made, of course, but then you can enjoy it. You can drive up your adrenaline. And if let's say you want to feel a little bit to be in outer space, we do have that as well. So you can put on all your angkasawan attire and all, and then just enjoy the non-gravity area. So you can have that also in One Utama. So One Utama is actually full with a lot of entertainment. So that is also one of the reasons why One Utama is expanding. So from only have like one building, now they have like two buildings connected, and then they keep on expanding and expanding and keep on bringing in more entertainment in that particular building. So other than food and beverages, like a lot, so they also have these kinds of entertainments that can actually entertain the customers. So this is one of the reasons why people love to go to One Utama, despite people say that it's very congested and all, people still go to One Utama. So the common entertainment types, they also have the karaoke and also the movie theater, as well as bowling alley. So they have the commons one, but other than that, they have other things that you can offer, which don't really make other people have to travel too far away to get themselves entertained. So this is part and parcel on how can you make sure your shopping mall is still relevant and maintained and sustained in the industry. All right, so so they have this one card. So one card is kind of like a membership card. So you can have enjoy, whenever you conduct any transactions in any outlets in One Utama, then you can gain a point. So from the points, you can convert it to money, or you can convert it to some sort of cash in the card, so that you can just in and out of the parking area without paying any fee, because you have the so-called like money and token in the card. And then you can easily download the One Card punya applications. And during the pandemic, One Utama is actually the first shopping malls that allowing, and not allowing, I would say the first shopping mall that offer online shopping mall. So whatever items that you want to purchase from One Utama, regardless from whatever outlet, you can just easily conduct the transactions and they will deliver the item to you. So the first shopping mall that is actually online. So instead of going to the any brands on online, so just go to One Utama shopping mall. Okay, so this is another examples of omni-channel. So this is Warna. So Warna is one of the local hijab brand in Malaysia. So the functions of this is just to promote the items. And if let's say you feel that you have the interest to purchase this, just click the link on the bio and you'll be given to the options right here. So buy it from the website, or buy it from Shopee. So just click any link that you wish to click. So this is the layout of Warna for Shopee, and this is another one, the layout from its website. Okay, so basically that is the story of the post-pandemic here in Malaysia. So in a nutshell, it's actually shopping mall is still relevant despite most people are moving towards online, but it is relevant only if you connect your shopping mall with an online platform, and it has to be an omni-channel rather than very individualistic, although you call it a multi-channel. And then you really need to give your customers a whole spectrum of experiences. So shopping mall it won't work if only just for the customers to conduct transactions, purchase, and you really need to give them some space to stay connected with their friends, to enjoy a certain activities and all. So the next slide here is basically just a little bit to share with you what is currently happening in Malaysia, not only post-pandemic, but this is what's happening in Gaza and the genocide that's happening between Gaza, Palestine, and also Israel. So what currently is happening here in Malaysia as of 30th April 2024, the KFC, the Kentucky Fried Chickens, which is very well known in Malaysia. Everybody loves Kentucky Fried Chickens, but they have to shut over 100 restaurants in Malaysia due to the boycott. So although the franchisee of KFC here in Malaysia is Jacob, again, it belongs to the Sultan Johor, but although the franchisee in Malaysia is Malaysian, owned by Malaysian, yet again, because the name itself is KFC and we know that Kentucky is from US, so we instantly boycott it. All right, so this is the 7th of February punya story, so something also about the boycott thingy. And next one is from the 2nd June. So from the 2nd June, this is quite recent, whereby we had this kind of like a rally where we really get together and to show how much we do not support what is happening in Gaza and all. And then for Starbucks Malaysia, which Starbucks Malaysia is actually brought in by Berjaya, company known Berjaya. So Berjaya is actually the franchisee, the ones who's bringing in Starbucks to Malaysia, and Starbucks is continuously to get lost. They're not gaining any profit despite of anything and everything they have done. So here in Malaysia is basically, if you browse through my Starbucks or Starbucks Malaysia Instagram account, they have kind of like 360 change in terms of their promotional activities, but yet again, they still could not manage to win the consumer's heart in Malaysia. We still boycott Starbucks, regardless of whatever, even though they give us like buy one, free one kind of things. Basically, previously it's only like once a month kind of thing, but right now it's almost kind of like a weekly promotional of buy one, free one. But yet again, still not many people are going to Starbucks. And one of the oldest Starbucks in Malaysia has shut down. And we were kind of like stunned. If the new outlets is shutting down, it's normal because it's new. But one of the oldest outlet in Malaysia has shut down. It is telling us something. So it's a big impact to Starbucks here in Malaysia. And then, although most of the companies keep on saying that boycotts will only bring unintended consequences, especially in terms of unemployment and all, and will affect the purchasing power. But most of Malaysians, we don't really believe in that, because most Malaysians are Muslims, and in fact those who are being unemployed keep on saying tak apa, kita ada rezeki yang lain. So they really believe in that. So even though they keep on telling us, all these big giants companies keep on telling us, you are going to affect the growth, the economic growth, you are going to affect your own national people, whereby these people are not going to be employed and this and that, but yet again, it never stop us to continue from boycotting, because we really believe in kita ada rezeki di tempat lain. And then this one happened last year, 2 months after the strike in Gaza. So McDonald's Malaysia sued the pro-Palestine activists for the boycott. So they actually sued some of the activists in Malaysia by saying that you provoking Malaysian to boycott McDonald's has caused us a loss, so we are suing you. So, but at the end of the day, it did not really happen, because Malaysia, it is Malaysian. We're still going to continue to boycott. The more you tell us not to boycott, the harder we're going to boycott you. All right, so this is some of the companies in Malaysia, some of the international companies that we believe are supporting the the genocide at all. So we are still boycotting them. And some of the companies are actually giving free items or sell them at a very cost price, harga cost. And then some of them continuously to conduct warehouse sales. But yet again, even though they conducted warehouse sales, still nobody go there. So that shows that how much we really want to prove and to show them we don't really support this kind of genocide. And then this is one of the things that has been done. Malaysia celebrities and influencers blog list. So we actually compiled the list of some of the celebrities that never post anything about Israel and Palestine on their social media accounts. Considering that they have high number of followers, we believe that they should post something against the Israel. But most of them don't really do that is because majority of them are T20, the high income earners. And majority of them are actually the ambassadors for those brands, for Gucci brand, for Prada brand, for Swarovski. So most of them are actually here. So because of that, probably they have a certain contract and all that don't really allow them to post anything in regards to the Palestine and genocide. But however, after we have listed down all these names, and netizens actually bombarded their accounts and by saying all those harsh words and all, so majority of these celebrities and influencers have started to post things about Israel and also the Palestine genocide incidents. So basically, I think that is my last slide. All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Azlin. Actually, in terms of boycott, I think in Indonesia are facing similar circumstances, but in a better way because I think no stores are closed, and yeah, but they lose their revenue, of course. And then also in Indonesia we have Harbolnas, Hari Belanja Online Nasional. So at the twin date, so yeah, we call it as a Hari Belanja Online Nasional. And this strategy also duplicated by the offline store or physical store. So they also offer similar promotion on twin date, something like that. And TikTok is to be made massive. We have TikTok shop and it's very popular right now in Indonesia. Maybe it's quite different from what Malaysian figure, yeah. Okay, so
Ibu Dewi,
yeah.
I thought that Indonesia no longer have TikTok. So they still have TikTok right now?
Yeah, we for temporarily our government has closed the TikTok shop, and after that TikTok are changing the method. So they basically using our e-commerce platforms such as Tokopedia, so they don't sell it directly from TikTok, but the TikTok shop, the live shop is sudah allowed to be opened, and then yeah, it's going to be more massive than before. Okay.
Okay, good to know that.
Yeah.
So when the TikTok was kind of like taken down from or brought out from Indonesia, what was the implications and also how did the Indonesian sellers react to it?
Actually, the issues that the TikTok sellers sell most of China products, so it's getting more challenges from our local sellers. So now they changing. Most of the products are coming from a local product producer. So yeah, that's why TikTok is getting more approval from our customers, something like that.
So basically their idea was not like Indonesian try not to push their money to China. But if like
Yeah.
say you're selling local products, then it's acceptable.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah. Oke. So, teman-teman, silahkan kita diskusi sekarang. Let's discuss. You can ask anything. Yeah, Dr. Azlin will happy. Okay, please, Wahid.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you so much, for Dr. Azlin Bahtar, and then Ms. Dewi, and then Mr. Adrian from Paramadina University. In here, I want to ask, how about the Malay in Indonesia right now, especially in Jakarta region, is a very famously travel package in 3 countries to abroad. This is Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand, right? Because so many travel agents or travels company in Jakarta on Ibu Kota sellers the packets. How about in Malaysia trains are the same with these situations? Thank you.
So sorry, Wahid, I cannot get you. Selling what? What?
Selling about the packets for tourism to going abroad. And in
Package.
Jakarta,
Tourism package.
Tourism package
yes.
Okay.
to go to 3 countries, right?
Okay.
The most popular countries.
All right. Okay, I understand. All right. Thank you, Wahid. Okay, so here in Malaysia, like I said, we are Muslim countries, so we are highly support traveling to Muslim countries as well. So the moment that we know that that country is actually has Muslims over there, then we are definitely going to develop a certain packages and then we're going to promote the packages to Malaysian people to go to that particular country. So but then it takes you know like dia ada musim-musimnya, dia ada seasonalnya, dia akan tengok when is the trend. So back in those years, I think it was like 2010 or 2011, most of the companies are really focusing to travel to China, because China at that particular point of time was like trying to gain its economy, to develop its economy, and they really understand that at the end of the day, the world population is highly populated by the Muslims. So they started to develop certain area in China, like for example in Beijing, in Xi'an, and also in Guilin. So they started to have all this Muslim friendly tourism area that can be traveled and it can be visited by the Muslims. So that's what they've been working with us years ago. But right now and then I think it's about like 2015 and slightly before the pandemic, and right now it's booming again. Most of the packages are actually traveling to Balkan cities. So Balkan cities are actually the 5 countries, the 5 states, that including the Bosnia Herzegovina and all. So it's a very nicely Muslim populated countries. And some of the packages, if let's say we want a slightly cheaper and slightly closer, and then slightly doesn't require too many days, like 8 to 12 days. So basically some of the travel agencies here are actually creating a packages to Indonesia. So one of the most highly promoted right now is actually Bromo. So previously it was Bali, but then some of the Malaysians say that Bali is overrated because like too many people. And then it's more Hinduistic kind of approach whereby the Malaysians are a little bit concerned when it comes to food and all. And then they started to move to Lombok. But as I was being told that Lombok is slightly expensive at the moment, so not many people will go to Lombok. But now they started to go to Bromo. I think Bromo is a little bit cold, like the weather is a little bit cold,
Yeah.
and we have all these mountains and all. So I've seen a lot of pictures. Most of it are basically on the top of the mountain with the jeep, with the Pajero and all. So Bromo is one of the highly promoted right now at the moment. I think about 2023 and mid of 2022, it was Yogyakarta. But Bandung and Jakarta is not really highly promoted at the moment. Probably because most Malaysians, when they go abroad, they want something that more alami. more natural, more, they want to calm themselves. So they don't really want to be in the city because most of them are actually living in the city center area. So when they travel outside, they're really looking for flora and fauna, bumi-bumi, gunung-gunung, sungai-sungai, so that kinds of places. So that's why they go to Bromo, they go to Yogyakarta instead of Jakarta. Even though I've been told that Jakarta has this new train, right, that can connect between Jakarta and Bandung. But that one is not really being communicated and promoted to the Malaysians. And in fact, that most Malaysians, like I said, at the moment, their priorities are spending time rather than shopping. So years ago, yes, I have to admit that most of us are actually traveled to Jakarta, and Jakarta was highly promoted, Jakarta and Bandung, for materials, for fabrics. And in fact, I went to Bandung to buy my baju kahwin and all. So because of how it was being promoted. But right now, I think Indonesia itself also is trying to booming its tourism industries. So they really understand that the concept where people want to look at the laut, the beach, the hutan, and also that's why I think most of the companies are focusing on that area. So I'm sure Malaysian will not promote those kinds of areas unless they have been given certain informations and inputs from the travel agencies from Indonesia, right? So this is what they've been promoting here in Malaysia. So the Malaysian context right now, they really enjoy alami nature concept. That's number one. Number two, food hunting. Always food hunting.
Okay. Okay.
Alright, thank you, Wahid, for the question.
Okay. We're going to the next, Pak Longgar Wahyudi, please. Pak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Bu Dewi.
Mhm.
Okay, Dr. Azlin Bahtiar, thank you for your
Yes.
sharing. Very interesting, I think, the thing about how Malaysia bounce back of economic recovery of the pandemic. I have a notification. One of key success factor in Malaysia is penetration internet is very high.
Mm-hmm.
97%, I think. If
Yes.
we benchmark with Indonesia, it is still 65.
Mm-hmm.
65, I think. What your suggestion relate with Indonesia, for example, to increasing of digital literacy in community? Thank
To
you.
increase digital literacy or to
Yes.
increase digital usage?
What do you think? Yes, I
Okay.
think we starting point is increasing digital literacy. After that, if a majority of people
Okay.
aware with the digital, then maybe go through to use it.
Okay. Basically, first and foremost, one of the reasons why the number of internet usage increased in Malaysia by 97%, one of it
Yeah.
is because of the availability of the internet connections.
Yeah.
So here in Malaysia, we try to make sure that every single area is well connected. Whether it's laju enough or slow, that one is a different story. But first and foremost, we really need to have that tower, that internet tower or that connected tower, whatever tower, Maxis tower or Digi tower in that particular area, then only internet can be accessible. So first and foremost, the government itself has to make sure that the internet is accessible. Without the accessibility, then even though the consumers have smartphone or smart devices, they still cannot be connected. So first and foremost, the government itself has to create more towers in a certain area so that everyone could enjoy the privilege of being connected. That's number one. Number two, probably we start young. We cannot like really tell the people who don't live with the internet to immediately start. So by starting young, it means that start from the schooling years. So here in Malaysia, starting from the pandemic actually, most of the, what we call it, kindergarten, schooling, the primary school and the secondary schools are really well connected with digital. So in fact, if I can share this, back in 1999, we're talking about like almost 30 years ago. 1999, my school already started with the educations with the internet. I myself have to submit my homework using email. So this is the penetrations and also the how to educate the people has to start from a very small context, and then it started to grow.
Yeah.
So my school was among one of the first schools that is being a guinea pig to this whole concept. So from 1999. So back in my school also, back then, we don't have a physical library. We do have a library, but we don't really have books in the library. So we've been started to introduce with this OPEX system, and then with all this how to find the books and all, and try to read the books from this digital platform. Although I must say that back then the books was scanned and put it on online, and then to read one page is requires so much time. But that is the guinea pig that we're talking about. So it has to start young, it has to start small, and slowly educate them. And then going back to during this pandemic and all, so when we had this pandemic, those children, those university students, they cannot be in the facility, right? So they have to study at home.
Yeah.
So what happened then, our government is actually invested a lot in giving free devices to the students. So in fact, up until today, some of our students are actually receiving this tablet for free of charge.
Oh.
But of
Oh,
course,
yeah.
if we look back at the family income lah, so if you're coming from T20, then you're not eligible to receive this. So, but basically to answer your question, sir, is it has to, number one is the internet itself has to be provided by the government. Number two, then try to start small in a certain area. And then number
Yep.
three, probably start to emphasize the usage of devices in class. So right now, my students, they don't have books, they only carry tablets to class. And in fact, if I need a pen, I do
Yes,
not
of
know
course.
from whom I should ask pen from. Nobody has pen
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
All right, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so next question from Salsa, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, Miss, I'm Salsa, and I want to ask Miss Azlin Bahtar. Based on the explanation, I heard that how Malaysia struggled after pandemic. And then how about the fate of small traders there? I mean like street vendors or small medium enterprise. Of course, they're very affected, right? So my question is, how does Malaysia overcome this? Are there still many consumers there who choose small medium enterprise for purchase? That's it. Thank you.
Okay. To be honest, and of course, majority are very affected, but majority of small and medium enterprises in Malaysia, especially the small enterprises in Malaysia, are coming from the food industry. So food is a necessity, so it is not badly affected at all in a way. And also Malaysia has this kind of like an idea, the one I've mentioned during my presentation just now, if it's our orang kampung punya product, kita akan support. So we have this idea of buy local. And during the pandemic, we highly emphasize for all consumers to buy local and to stop from buying shopping items. So the reason why we do that and why we encourage that is because local products, when it comes to food, the cycle of it is very fast as compared to shopping items. For example, you need to eat food every single day. So of course you're going to buy the food, whether it's raw material or non-raw material, it is something that you're going to buy it continuously. So that is one of the ways on how we booming again, and we increase in terms of our economy at that point of time. And we highly discourage people to buy from overseas, number one, and we discourage people to buy shopping items because it's not necessity and it's very slow, and the repetitions of purchasing is very slow. So to answer your questions, the small traders are usually coming from the food industry, so they are affected in a way in slow income generations, but when it comes to badly affected, it's not tremendously, only small impact, but not to the extent that they have to shut down their business. And when we talk about medium enterprise, so here in Malaysia, medium enterprise is not that small in a way. Medium enterprise is a company that have lower than 150 employees. So if you could Google later on, go try to find Vivi Yusof or Duck Scarf. So Duck Scarf is considered as medium enterprise in Malaysia. But if you look at the product, if you look at the founders, dia tak nampak pun macam dia medium, nampak macam dia high end. So it's basically medium enterprise in Malaysia are the ones is actually helping the government and also helping the people to generate the income. And medium enterprises like Duck Scarves and also Avenis, there's another company called Avenis. These two companies are very generous in helping everyone during that time. And these two companies are actually the ones who very loud and told the government, dear government, you should not be helping the rakyat, you should be helping the SME. So more and more funds will be given to the company operators instead of the people. Because the idea is, if you help the people, you bagi duit RM100 today, is going to be finished in a day. But if you help the companies, the small, medium industries, it can help us to continue our business, and it can give us a guarantee that we can continue to compensate our employees, and our employees will continuously have the money to conduct the transaction. So at first, our Malaysian governments are actually giving the money to the rakyat. But after hearing all these kinds of statements, which is actually correct and makes sense, so the government actually helped the SME. So that's why the second reason why it's not badly affected to this SME, because the governments actually help these SMEs to make sure that the SMEs tak tutup business. So therefore, all the employees are secured. Not too high of people are going to be retrenched during the pandemic. But those people who actually has to be laid off or retrenched during the pandemic are mostly coming from the tourism industries, but not from other industries, especially the SME, because they've been given the help and assistance from the government.
Okay, thank you, Miss.
All right.
Okay. Next, Keika, yeah? Keika, please, Keika.
Okay, thank you, me. Okay, my name is Kika. I heard that one of the marketing strategy is that we must have a social media like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. So my question, I have two questions. Okay, jadi the first question is, how important is the role of social media in marketing strategies after the pandemic in Malaysia? And there any tips that we can do in marketing on social media? And the second one is, after the pandemic, there must be many influencer. How much influence do endorsement or promotion from celebrities or influencer on social media have on consumer shopping decision in Malaysia? Thank you.
Okay, so the first question, the strategy. Okay, I'm not so sure whether this is something that is relatable with Indonesia markets and Indonesia social media platforms and all, but we're talking about some not big companies, the SME companies here in Malaysia. So there are lots of companies that started off their business on online platform, and then slowly, after years and years, then only they start to have their own physical pop-up stores and also their small retail outlets. But they started off with online platforms. Okay, so I'm going to give you one example, one of the companies in Malaysia. So the name of the companies again is Avenis. So it's Avenis, so Avenis. So during the pandemic, I've never occurred to me to watch this live by these founders of Avenis. And then I started, I think because of during the pandemic, I was like so bored. I have nothing left to do. So I kept on browsing the internet to look for some ideas and to see the patterns that time. So these Avenis founders, so it's actually a girl, a lady. So currently she is 39 years old. So she started off her business. First she sold sambal, right? Okay, sambal, but then it did not go well. In a way, it did not go well because it's a little bit tiring because she has to cook it by herself, and also the business did not make a successful stories. So, and then she moved to another type of business. So she started to have a skincare products. So her skincare product is actually very good in a way because she's combined a lot of ingredients that can be found in Dior, in L'Oreal, and also she combined and everything. So her skincare is actually very good because it is being developed or the ingredients are actually from the very good components and ingredients. All right. Then when she started that particular business, I think it was somewhere in 2018 before the pandemic. So she had this live. She conducted live on Facebook, because she is, at that time she was at 30 over age, so she is a Gen Y. So of course Gen Y will have Facebook accounts and Instagram accounts. So she started her live on Facebook, selling and promoting and explaining her product in a very most exquisite way and professional way. You know, like all those dermatologies explained with a white code and all. So it is like very serious conversation. Despite her product is very good, proven to be good, and have all these certificates with dermatologies and acknowledgements and all, but her account was not very famous and her product was not so high. Low numbers of revenues in a way. So, and then during the pandemic, she was bored at home just like me. So she changed her content. So her passion is still cooking. Remember, I told you that she makes sambal? All right. So her passion was cooking. And then she had a very pitiful childhood, because the parents split up and then she moved here and there, and then she had to travel. Then she moved to New Zealand to stay with the mother, and then the father got married, remarried, the mother got remarried, and blah blah blah. And so she had a very pitiful life story as a teenager. It was a very hard life. So so anyway, back to the story. During the pandemic, she changed the concept of life. So she understood the concept where Malaysians stay at home during the pandemic. And what else can we do during the pandemic? We eat. But then can we continuously buy from Grab food, from Uber food, from Shopee food? No, it is expensive. The food itself is not expensive. The delivery is expensive. So she cooks because she has nothing to do at home. So she cooks, and she is in a way, she is wealthy enough. So she loves to cook and she delivers it to her jiran, kiri kanan depan belakang. So she shares the food with everyone. So basically she changed her content. So during while she was like cooking and during her life and all, so that's when she promotes her skincare products. One of it is her kitchen is actually outside of the house, so with a direct sunlight. And then while she cooking, while she was like really cooking and all, the heat from the stove and all. So it's actually, she was trying to tell everyone, despite the sunlight is very direct to her skin, despite that the stove is like very hot and all, but my skin is still very flawless. And she has a very flawless skin. Very nice. I have to admit that. So that is how she convinced the customer to buy my product. So she actually changed the context and the content of her Facebook Live. And starting from there, and then she moved to IG and also TikTok using the same live. So she lives at 3 different platforms at the same time, because Facebook is for Gen X, Instagram for Gen Y, TikTok is from Gen Z. So she actually covers all generations. So by why she can manage to capture the interest of the customers, because she actually shares her own lifestyle at that time. Sellers and customers is usually want to be engaged with the customers because they want to be part of their life. So this person, her name is Alia Zailan. So Alia is actually shares her part of life. So to tell and also to influence the customers that her product is good, she should show, she felt that she needed to show that her own lifestyle, what she went through, what she goes through and all, and then apply the products and blah, 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 blah. So to answer your questions, first and foremost, get to know your audience. Really get to know your audience. And even though she is coming from a very wealthy family, but she knows that originally she is from Kampong. So most of her people are actually Kampong. The one who's like following her on Instagram and all are actually people who are like her. The normal people, not the princess kind of type, even though she is rich, but then she dressed normally like normal people. So she changed not only the content, but how she speaks in the life, during the life. Previously, it was like 100% in English. And if let's say she speaks Bahasa Melayu, she will use KL slang or Kuala Lumpur dialect. So she did not really get high number of supports. and followers and viewers. But the moment she changed the content and then she changed the way how she speaks, sekarang nowadays she speaks in her own mother tongue in a way that bahasa Melayu, Melaka dialect, Melaka style. So that's how she gained a lot of support from the customers. And now her business not only on online platform, but it's booming. She started to have about 15 outlets already in 2 years. So she started to have outlets and she exported her out products. And in fact, you can actually buy Avenir's product in Indonesia, New Zealand, Australia, UK, US. So these are the 5 countries, Singapore, Brunei. So these are the countries that where you can actually buy Avenir's product. Started online, and then one of the ways, change your tone. So that's why in digital marketing is very important to really know who is your audiences and your audience's behavior. We don't really look at the demographic, we look at how they behave on online platform. For example, even though I'm like a Gen Y, but because I mingle too much with my students who are Gen Z, sometimes my behavior also has become like Gen Z. So we're looking at the behavior and we're not looking at the age factor. So that is one of the ways on how can you win the customer's attention. And another example, I would say there's another company here in Malaysia, actually sells furniture. So this company known as L Furniture. So this company started its business in 2019, like few months before the pandemic. So when they started the business, they believe that it can go well because they have this certain target market, high-end target market, so they know that they can do well. But however, then the pandemic strikes. So the owner was a little bit sedih at that time, but slowly she back up again because she believes that confirm boleh laku walaupun pandemic. I know I can make a lot of profit. So I asked her, how sure were you at that time? So I met her, I think last year, but then I asked the story, what makes you so confident that you know that you can make it at that time? And she said that instead of telling people how good the quality of the product is, during the pandemic, everybody was staying at home, in which previously people spent 8 hours of their lives at the office. So now they are at their home. Sure lah, confirm dia akan nampak rumah dia dah tak cantik. So that's why she had the idea of, I'm pretty sure that people start to look around and people start to notice that how old their furniture is. So I keep on telling how their home should look like. My furniture will make your home look nicer, prettier, less cluttered, like very organized. And also I convince people in a way that your home will look better instead of telling them my quality, the fabric I use. So no point. So I keep on telling my customers about how nice their home will look like. So now they are actually exporting their products to Dubai. Slowly, you really need to get to know your audiences, what they are going through, and speak their own language. Speak their own language, not in terms of bahasa Melayu or bahasa Inggeris or bahasa Indonesia and what. Speak their language. That's only how we can convince them, because that's only the customer will feel very close to you. Right? So I hope that's some of the tips that you can actually use, because that's actually what happened in Malaysia. All right. So I know there's a third person just now. So it's
Okay, I think I assume this is the last question for this session. Okay, please, Kevin. Okay.
Yes. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Kevin.
All right.
I think, Dr. Aslin, I think you mentioned it briefly that in Malaysia there are a lot of ethnic groups, right? Like Melayu, Chinese, Indian, and even some Europeans. My question is how each of these ethnic groups adapt or react to the pandemic in Malaysia. Is there any ethnic groups that are doing better than the other, or all affected at the same rate, or maybe yeah, how each of the ethnic group reacts? That's it.
Okay, so overall, there's no research has been done to look at the impact and effect of the pandemic towards the ethnic groups in Malaysia. But on overall basis, we are equally the same, regardless of location base, regardless of ethnicity base, regardless of religion base. Everyone is actually being impacted the same way. and everyone is basically managed the pandemic in the same way. And that is the beauty of Malaysia. One of the thing is whenever we've been certain these kind of like big issues like this, whether it's pandemic, whether it's tsunami and all, whether it's banjir, teruk ke apa ke, then automatically everyone will help one and another. It's just like that. It's automatically we're going to definitely help one and another, regardless of your ethnicity and also regardless of your race and religion. So to answer your questions, it's basically no formal research has been done, but through observations around me and also readings from the internet and all, and also asking around and all. So everyone is actually not doing better as compared to the other one. Everyone is almost the same. Sama je. And in fact, the pandemic actually brought us closer. So if you have the time, I'm not so sure whether it is still available on online or not. So during the pandemic, we live to do some stupid and funny stuff in a way. So like I said just now, during the pandemic, like we don't really have much things to do. So most of us like will do the cooking at home. I myself surprise myself. I know how to make pastries. I know how to make kueh during the pandemic. If you ask me to do now, I seriously I don't know how. But back then, so everyone wanted to be a chef in a way. So we have this on Facebook, we have this group or ataupun some username. I think this is called as Masak Tak Jadi. So whatever we cook, it didn't turn out the way how we wanted it to be. So a lot of people, regardless of whatever race and ethnicity, they will cook something, and if it doesn't turn out the way we want it to be, then we'll post it up there and we make fun of ourselves. So during bad times like that, usually jokes helps us. So basically, there is no badly impact in terms of the economic, no. In terms of gaps, humanity and also relationships between one another is also no. And in fact, like where I stayed, my neighbors are all Chinese and we really take care of each other. So the moment if we know that one of them is being affected by COVID, then although my neighbors is Chinese and he is Buddhist, I still send over food. I still, help him or her. So basically there's no gap between us. The more we are in trouble, the more we unite, surprisingly.
Okay, so basically the pandemic has some positive.
Yes.
Yeah, some
Yes.
positive effect in Malaysia, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so for all of the questions. So I think we're going to the last part of this session. As a token of appreciation, I would like to present certificate of appreciation for Dr. Azlin Zanaria Bahtar. Okay, hopefully our collaboration will still continue in the future. And for your information, Dr. Azlin will come to Paramadina on September, right? On the next September. So yeah, we are looking forward to meet you in person. Yeah, also the students. Okay. Okay, then okay, I think I would like to we are coming to the end of the session. Thank you so much again for Dr. Azlin for this precious moment. Yeah,
Thank you.
we
Thank
learned
you
a
for
lot.
having
Okay, we learned a lot from you. So also for all the participants who give their contribution, participation. So now let me wrap up the session. Thank you so much. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam. See you.
See you.
See you all. Thank you.
Thank you for
Bye.
having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Terima
Thank
kasih
you.
teman-teman ya. Terima kasih teman-teman. Thank you.